the incredible Sala Chen, the electric Colin Farrell, and the director of Ballad of a Small Player, Berger. Congratulations to you all on the film. We're so excited to have it here in Toronto. Edward, Mike, you mentioned it was 8 years ago that you first sat down and talked about this project, this film. What resonated to each of you about this story and inspired you to help bring it to the screen?
Mike starts. I had been talking to Lawrence Osborne, the novelist, about another book. And then I got a job running a film festival in Macau. And Lawrence said, oh, well, you must read my Macau book now. And then I started to spend some time in Macau, and it really is, as you can see, an extraordinary place. I mean, it's kind of Vegas turbocharged, but it's so much more than that. And I thought, oh, this is going to be such a cinematic film if we can get it made. And then I took it to Edward.
And what did you think?
It just sparked me. I'd never been to Macau, and Mike kept inviting me to the festival, and I said, I can't because I'm shooting a movie that I need to premiere at TIFF. And then I was shooting another movie that I needed to do. So I could never come, so thank you so much for the invitations, Mike. So I never went until like 3 years ago, until we went on our first scout. But what I saw in the movie, so first of all, I'd been to Hong Kong a bunch of times, and I knew the vibrancy of the place, and I could sort of imagine. But once I was there, I could never have expected such a vibrant, explosive atmosphere that, of course, had to find its way into the movie. But what I really responded to on the page in Rowan's script that we then developed was, just a man trying to become a better man in a world of abundance, which is a difficult thing, when you're lost and empty and trying to find yourself, and there's every choice in the world from lobster to champagne to steaks, and you actually, that's not going to help. He needs to find it within himself, and that's the journey I really wanted to tell.
And Rowan, can you talk about adapting Lawrence Osborne's novel and the challenges of bringing this story to the screen and how you kind of thought about the narrative arc?
Yes, Lawrence's novel was far more poetic, kind of a wild, untamed piece of narrative. And so the big challenge was, how do I distill his story into something that somebody is going to give money to put on the screen? Because there are certain expectations from a movie that needs to have a broad appeal, and balancing those interests with Lawrence's artistry was, not easy. But Ed was on board from the beginning, and Mike has been a terrific producer, and so, together and with this extraordinary cast and wonderful music, it's definitely something I'm super proud of.
On the subject of music, Volker, when you read, the script and thought about it, what kind of qualities and characteristics did you want to reflect in the music and bring out of the script in the way that you work?
Well, I mean, before I did film music, I had a lot of band history. So I went to a lot of places like that where I was at least, seeing madness and, like partying and we had a lot of times everything. But at the same time, when you came home at the hotel, you felt quite alone. And so I had the feeling it's nice to find a musical expression for these two sides, like the wildness and the excess, like the excessive life, and then at the same time the loneliness, and in a way feeling that your life has a certain amount of time, and you feel the end of life somewhere, and so I wanted to find for both parts an expression, and I found it in the low brass section. I really loved. I did the last dance piece as the first. And when I wrote that, after that I was like, oh, I think that's the madness. And so that's where it started. It's wonderful.
where it's interesting to think about this film as a follow-up to Conclave, which
Such an obvious choice,
right? Very structured, meticulous, orderly world, and then from the very first frames here, this is cluttered, chaotic, it's sweaty, you know, it's a very different place. What visual qualities of Macau did you want to draw out into the kind of world that you built for Lord Doyle?
I mean, it's interesting that you referenced the last movie because in a way, the urge is to blow it up, to make something that excites. You know, just imagine it like you've been talking about one thing for years and years and years. You've explored it, I've explored the Vatican and the Conclave and all these things. And eventually you say, well, I've got nothing left to say. What's the opposite of that that could be interesting? You know, and suddenly you get drawn, I'm empty with that subject matter, and suddenly you go, oh, I want to inhale that. And, you know, Macau, just actually going there for the first time with Mike and all my wonderful crew members for the recce, the first location recce, it felt operatic to me. And that's what we eventually had to find its way into the movie, even though Lord Doyle is such a fragile character. I found the dichotomy between the fragility of this character and the operatic bombast, like Volker says, that makes you even feel more fragile. I found that really interesting, you know, and we actually, with Volker's help and everyone's help, we wanted to sort of, you know, create a pop opera that is just sort of takes you on this ride and this inner journey that this man is going through.
Yeah, it does seem that the theme of duality, that bombast and the intimacy, you can see it throughout the film. And I want to ask about working with James Friend, your cinematographer who you worked with on All Quiet on the Western Front. The overwhelming scale of Macau, but then wanting to tell obviously a very intimate kind of first-person narrative, trying to balance those two things. There's that wonderful escalator shot of him going down into the depths of the gambling hall. Could you talk about working with James on the visual kind of language of how you shot it?
Well, the interesting thing is I had met Colin a couple of times, but you don't really get to know each other until you make it, you know, we sort of...
Until you have a sauna together.
Yeah, we had a sauna together in London. He had Banshees, I had All Quiet, and I met him in the sauna. So, do you want to make a movie? So we don't, you know, I saw him half naked, but I didn't really get to know him. And so
I was psychologically fully dressed.
Exactly, totally guarded. But so I sit there with James, and 12 weeks out of, before shooting, and we start planning the film. We've scouted the locations, and we sit down, we come up with all the shots, and imagine what this character might feel like, and what Colin might play it like, and what Farrell might play it like, and we make up these shots. And somehow, I remember, we sat in this hotel room, in fountains outside and lights outside, and James and I were saying, like, how does he feel right now, like going into? It's actually a descent into hell. It's like and so it couldn't be a straight shot. And so we came up with a shot where the camera twists and the lights, go, crazy around it. It's like whatever the idea is always, what does Colin feel in his stomach? And what can the camera do to express that, even though it's just coming down an escalator? So that's always my philosophy. What can we do to make the audience feel what this gentleman and Farrell feel inside their stomachs? He's such an integral part of my journeys on these films, and he's an inspiration, and he's a friend, and he's just a backbone of the visual language, or of the he's an integral part of that movie. Of any
It's
movie.
lovely to watch the two of you together, the degree of intimacy and the kind of shared
Yeah,
experience.
we're like lovers.
Didn't want to say it, but yes.
Colin, we've been lucky to have you here in Toronto many times, and I think what our audiences appreciate about your work is the remarkable way in which you totally inhabit your characters. You throw yourself fully into every moment, and it's completely on display in this performance. sure there's different ways into a character, into stepping into that. What was your way into Lord Doyle?
I recommend a green velvet suit. It's very helpful. We do though, as actors, I think we lean into, you know, so many corners of the experience. It's beyond an octagon. There are just tens and tens of corners. It's everyone you work with in the crew. It's Missy, and it's Heike from makeup, and it's James, and it's Phil Hardy who was the focus puller, and it's Danny Bishop who was the camera operator. I mean, having to pull focus on me in this film, you know, I was moving so fast, and so you lean into everyone. Psychology of the character was all on the page from the extraordinary script that Rowan wrote from Lawrence's extraordinary book. So it just screamed out for I mean, you always invest yourself fully, but it screamed out for a level of investment that was terrifying for me. I didn't want to get on the plane in Los Angeles, to be honest with you, and I realised how lucky I am to do the job I do. So it wasn't like, oh, I'm tired, I don't want to get on the plane. It was just like, oh fuck, this is going to be tricky, and I don't know where it's going to go. But you know, Edward created such an extraordinary environment on the set, and such a collaborative environment, and it was just about, yeah, beating this guy down, or just being open to the many kind of, and it's, you know, it's all of his making in a way. I mean, there's an accountability that I don't think he can ever accept until the end, and the list of that accountability would be really, really, really long. And I assume after the credits roll, he's for the first time ever in a position perhaps in his life where he can really look back at things and realise the part that he played in some of the things that may have hurt him. It's that kind of thing. It's not like he goes off and he does amazing things in the world. He's just one man, possibly at the end of the film, who can actually accept accountability for the missteps, the many missteps that he's made in his life. And I found that to be kind of really interesting. And yeah, but the green velvet suit always comes back to the
Fala, your character exists in this chaotic world, and you know, she offers a glimpse of something different, of maybe a potential, of a hope. How did you find her place and her presence within this world?
I don't think I ever found, I'm still looking, I'm still searching, because I feel like she's also, like they say, she says in the film, you and I are the same. They're very similar in the way that they're lost in their own way. And in connecting with him and helping with him was her way of finding her way out, exit. Well, now you've seen the film, no spoiler, but her way out. But I still question over and over, like today watching, like what is real? Like what is enough and what is real? Like what's in this man's madness and creation? Was she part of his imagination and his fever dream, or was she a real ghost that comes with this ghost festival? I still don't know. I really don't know.
Edward, Colin, can you speak about the eating scene in the hotel